Well, hello, September 28th, 2021. Welcome to the Cactus Cowboy YouTube channel. My name is Dave Rose, and this will be my very first cactus-related video to be posted on my channel. Now, it might appear that I'm bald, but just an update, I was diagnosed with primary CNS diffuse large B-cell lymphoma in mid-July of 2021, 2.5 months ago. Neurosurgeon cut me open, removed the tumor. I've undergone 3 sessions of chemotherapy, each session 5 days inpatients at the Billings Clinic. So, been a struggle. I have a very deadly and fast-growing form of cancer. There is hope. Struggling with the chemo, but the good news is I'm in very good health. My heart and lungs are strong. Digestive system is fine. So I'm in a good position to beat the cancer and hopefully get some form of remission, maybe gain a few years. At any rate, we'll step inside the greenhouse. The plants were outdoors for the summer. We just recently moved them in, thanks to my wife Cindy for her help moving them back in the greenhouse. At the greenhouse, first of 3 benches. This is on the south side of the greenhouse. Big selection of cacti here, different genera and species. Nice variety. Virtually all of these grown from seed. It's often the best way to grow cacti. There's some cacti and succulents you can grow by offsets. For example, here's a big pharaoh cactus. It's got some pups or offsets on it. This could be broken off and rooted and grown into new plants. Echinopsis, big, large, pink, purple blooms at night. There's some of the larger specimens in my collection. Haworthia, aloe, euphorbia. That was the center row. This is the third. And there is shade cloth cutting down the sunlight a bit. On these plants, they require less light. You see they are red and brown. That's due to exposure to the sun sitting outdoors in the summer. They've got some direct sun. Got a little bit of a burnt appearance, but they're healthy. Most of them are. So this should perk up in here and do well. So that's it. That's the greenhouse. And there is the gas-fired heater, which keeps this above freezing in the wintertime. Okay, so that was the greenhouse and my collection today, September 28th, 2021. Right now, we're going to jump back in time approximately 21 years, see my collection at its peak, at its prime. You'll see a younger version of me, of course, and I will take you on a tour of the greenhouse. We're going to see many dozens, hundreds of plants. Enjoy. Welcome to the greenhouse. Let's go for a tour inside. Okay, we're inside the greenhouse now. It was a great year for blooming, and we've got lots of fruit. Here's a mammillaria with lots of seed pods growing on it. Here's another mammillaria that was blooming earlier today. Here's a mammillaria that has spines like bird feathers. Mammillaria plumosa. One of the few cactus that you can actually pet. Here's a pharaoh cactus. Check out the spines on this baby. Wicked, huh? Those are fishhook type spines. Here's one of my favorite Opuntias. Opuntia basilaris, native to Utah, California, Nevada. Here's some more mammillaria. These are all mammillarias in here. Very good bloomers. There's always a mammillaria in bloom every day of the year. Oh, here's something unusual. Check this out. This is Cactus baumannii seedlings, and you can see these are normal, but this one is different. It's monstrous. It's a freak of nature. This was grown from seed, and this is how it came. Here's something in bloom. Here's a Pleospelus bolusii. This is a succulent from South Africa. You can see the leaves are like a rock, hard and rubbery. Here's some lithops. They call these living stones because they look like the stones they grow amongst in their habitat. These are some seedlings that were started in 1999, and you can see that they're doing pretty well. This is ready for repotting. These need to be taken out and put into individual pots. Down here we've got the Astrophytum collection. Very nice plants. I think you have one of these, Timothy. I think I sent one to you. This is Astrophytum capricorni senilli. This one was blooming earlier today. Here's a crested cactus. This is grafted onto a normal cactus. Very unusual growth habit. This is my oldest Astrophytum. It's about 12 years old, and you can see it's had a pretty rough life. It's all scarred up. That was from the move from New Jersey to Wyoming, but it's still growing and it's doing well. Okay, down here we get into the columnar cacti. These are mostly from South Africa or South America. Here's Hagioserius. These are from Peru and Chile. Okay, these are columnar cacti, native to South America. This is a Cereus azorius. These are Cereus peruvianus, monstrous. This is a monstrous form, and you can see it's grafted onto the normal form. I think you have one of these at home, Timothy. One that I gave you. But it's a pretty neat looking plant. A little different. Here's a nice cactus that's been clustering pretty well. I'm hoping this will bloom next year. Down here we've got some Trichocereus. This one has almost no spines. You can actually pick it up just like that. One of the few cactus you can actually handle easily. Some of the Trichocereus, of course, have some pretty wicked spines. They're doing pretty well. They'll grow very well during the autumn. Now that the heat of the summer is gone, they'll really start growing well. Over here we've got Echinocereus. This is one of my favorites here. Echinocereus rigidissimus variety rubrispina. You can see it's got nice. Again, this is another cactus that you can pick up by hand because the spines are small. Here's Echinocereus subinermis, and you can see the berries that have formed, and they're full of fruit. or they're full of seeds rather. Here's another freak of nature, a kind of serious russanthus, but this is a crested form. Instead of the normal growth like this, it grows into a fan or a crest. Here's one of my favorite Echinocerius. This is Echinocerius delightii, and you can see it's a nice old man type of cactus. Got a lot of long silky hair on it. Very pretty cactus. Here's something different. This is an Espetoa melanostele crest grafted onto a Trichoserius. And like the Echinocerius we saw earlier, it grows into a fan or a crest instead of a single growing point. And it's grafted onto this stronger cactus to maintain it. Here's some more old man type cacti. This is Oreoserius trollii. This is a cactus that's native to the South American Andes. Here's another Oreoserius. This is Oreoserius celsianus, also from the high Andes in South America. Here's a nice cactus from Texas, Ancistrocactus shearii. It's got some nice long fishhook type spines. This cactus is unusual. This is Ortegocactus mcdougallii. It's got a pale frosted green skin with dark spines, almost black. Some of the new spines are reddish brown. Now we come back over. Now we're in the Nodocactus. This is Nodocactus magnificus. It's a beautiful cactus. This is a very nice specimen. You can see it's got lots of pups growing around the base of it. And it's got a beautiful yellow flower. This is Nodocactus hazelbergii. It's one of the first cacti to bloom every spring. Actually, in the wintertime it starts blooming. Say in February, and it's got beautiful tomato red flowers. Here's an agave. This is Agave americana. This is a variegated cultivar. You can see it's got leaves that are green with a yellow edge to them. Very vigorous and strong plant. You can see the little baby pups growing out of the drainage hole in the pot. Here's another agave, Agave titanota. Very nice plant. Got to watch out for these agaves. The spikes are very, very dangerous. Easy to get a wound from the spikes. Down here we got turbina cactus. These are small cacti from Mexico, and they stay very small, but they're very good bloomers. They have nice pink and purple flowers early in the spring. They usually bloom in March, early April. And this has a very, very tight and compact spine pattern. The spines are like little combs. Okay, Tim, you see this cactus here? It is about 40 inches tall. Back in 1989, about the time you were born, I bought this cactus in a store, and it was that tall. And now, look at it now. It's got a branch coming off the base down here, and the main stem is up here. And you see this little growth in here? Those are going to be flowers. And I'm thinking those flowers are going to come in sometime later this summer. But that's going to be something else when it does finally bloom. Down here, this is an unusual cactus. This is a Peresciopsis, and you can see it has leaves, but it is actually a cactus. It's got little areoles with tiny, tiny little spines, so it is indeed a genuine cactus, but it's one of the most primitive cacti. It's believed that all the other cacti evolved from this form of cactus. This plant here was sent to me as a cutting from a guy down in Phoenix, Arizona. And he has one of these in his yard. The name of the plant is Cactus geometrizens. He nicknamed his plant Gumby. He sent me this cutting last year, and I nicknamed it Son of Gumby. You can see it's got two arms, and it looks just like Gumby. By the way, this plant flowered earlier this year in April. It had little yellowish brown flowers, hundreds of them, probably 200 flowers, and each flower then formed a little fruit, a little purple berry. So every time I came out to the greenhouse for the period of about 5 or 6 weeks, I was pulling little berries off Son of Gumby and eating the berries as I walked around watering the cacti. This plant here is a Mammillaria elongata crest, and this is the smartest cactus in my collection. This plant is about 10 years old. I bought it as a tiny little cactus in a garden center. It's about that tall, and now 10 years later, look at it. It's a big brain. Here's another plant that I've had a long time. This is a Mammillaria hanniana, also known as the old woman cactus. Old woman cactus because it's got this crazy little hair on it. And this plant has bloomed and bloomed every year. Last year it bloomed for 10 months straight without a rest. This year it's bloomed, but not quite so much, but that's okay. Now we'll move on to the other side. This cactus here was given to me by Al Kuhn back in New Jersey. He grew this from seed in 1970. And when he gave me this cactus about 3-4 years ago, it was this tall. Since moving to Wyoming, it's grown this much. You can see how much the cacti love the Wyoming sun. They really do well here. This plant here is a Lophocereus Schodii, and this was sent to me last year as a cutting from my friend down in Phoenix, the same guy who sent me Gumby, or Son of Gumby rather, and it was about this tall last year. Well, the cutting rooted up, and now it's grown this much this year. And you can see this is a monstrous plant. Instead of growing normal ribs and spines, it grows real crazy and convoluted. Something a little different. This plant is an Opuntia from South America. This is Opuntia exaltata, and this will grow into a small tree about 30 feet high. I hope it never gets that big, or else I'm in trouble. Okay, here's a Gymnocalycium Booneckerii, and you can see this has got a big fat berry on it. I'm probably going to get about 500 seeds out of this once it fully ripens and I clean out the seeds. I've been getting a lot of seeds on many of these plants. Here's another Gymnocalycium with ripe berries on it. Again, more seeds. Here's something a little different. I think you might have one of these at home, Tim. This is a Chamaeocereus sylvestris, but it's a genetic freak. It lacks chlorophyll, so it only grows yellow. And it's grafted onto a Cereus peruvianus because without the graft, it would never survive. It doesn't have any chlorophyll, so it can't produce any food. But grafted, it grows and survives. Don't ever touch this cactus. But I don't need to tell you that, do I? You learned your lesson. This, of course, is a Puntia microdaisies, and this is a monstrous form as well. You can see how the pads are twisted and wavy. Very beautiful cactus. Just don't touch it. Here are some stapeliads. These are South African succulents, and they grow big purple flowers that look like starfish, and they smell like rotting meat. The reason they smell like rotting meat is they want to attract flies, because flies are the pollinators. Without the flies, they won't produce seed. Here's my little buddies, the old man cacti. This is Cephalocereus senilis, native of Mexico. I grew these little guys from seed about 5 years ago, and they're doing great. I've got 5 of them here. I think you might have one of these in your collection, Tim. I think I've seen it. Now this is an interesting little cactus. It looks like a golf ball. This is a Pitholantha micromeris. It's a cactus native to Texas and northern Mexico. And you can see it's got little red berries on it. I get a lot of flowers on these cactus and a lot of berries, so I get a lot of seeds also. This is one of the strangest cacti. This is Peniocerius gregii, and it's a cactus from Arizona, and it grows under shrubs, and it looks exactly like a dead stick. And that's part of its protection. It grows like a dead stick so the animals won't eat it. But it will grow quite large, and it will get big, fragrant white flowers that bloom at night. My plants have quite a few years to go before they're going to bloom, though. Here's another one of the old timers. This is an Echinopsis subdenudata. I've had this plant since about 1989, and it has bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. It gets big white flowers about that long and about that big around. Really nice plant. These are Gymnocalycium. These are the so-called moon cacti. They're genetic freaks. They lack chlorophyll, so they look red or red and black. And they're grafted onto a Trichocereus to maintain them. Because lacking chlorophyll, they never survive on their own. Here's another one of the Chamaeocereus, yellow peanut cactus, if you will. Here's a Gymnocalycium in bloom. This is Gymnocalycium damsii. Nice little cactus. Some of the aloe are blooming. Aloe are native to Africa. They're succulents. And this is Aloe raii, and it's got nice little red flowers. I know you've got one of these in your collection, Tim. This is Aloe variegata. Very nice plant. You can see I've got a lot of different aloes here. I like this one. It's covered with spines. This is Aloe excelsa. This one's nice also. It's reddish brown color. It gets really dark red in the sunlight. This is Aloe boambe. Now I'm not sure what this one is. It's some kind of echeveria. You can see it's in full bloom right now. Flowers aren't spectacular, but they're nice. But look at the leaves. The leaves are covered with these weird wart-like growths. Very unusual plant. I've got a few echeveria in here, and they're very pretty plants. They have a white powdery coating on the leaves. If you touch the coating, it will rub off, so I don't like to touch these plants. Here's the common jade plant, Crassula ovata. I'm sure you've probably seen a few of these, but I've got a few jades, and they bloom pretty nicely. They'll go into bloom every December around Christmas time. Here's a Crassula falcata, and you can see this has been blooming recently. Of course, the blooms are kind of past their prime, but still it's interesting. Okay, this is the Haworthia and Gasteria collection, and I've got the shade cloth on top to protect them from the direct sun. And the reason for that is that they need a little protection. They like a little bit of shade, and they do very well here in the greenhouse. You can see they're very healthy. This one's about ready to be repotted. The pot is bulging. It wants a little more room. Down here we got seedlings. These were all started in March of 2000, about 5 months ago. These are sclerocactus. Here's a big aloe. This one is done really, really well. You can see it's very healthy and it's grown strongly. One of these days I hope it blooms, but I think it's going to need to be really big before it blooms. Tim, I hate to say it, but my plants are that big. I know yours is that big. I'm very, very jealous. I wish mine were that big too. Just give me a little time. I'll catch up to you, buddy. Now over here, we got a Puntia seedlings. And all these were started in it was March of 2000. I especially like this. This is a Puntia pulchella. They look like little green worms with white spines on them. Very unusual. Over here we've got a kind of Sirius. Here's a Pitholantha micromeris. We saw those earlier with the red berries on them. Here's one of my favorites. This is Wilcoxia schmollii. They're like little fuzzy green worms. You can touch them. They're soft. They're cuddly. They're like a little pet. More kind of Sirius. Some Escobaria. We'll move down here to the next flat. Okay, here's more seedlings from March of 2000. These are Mammillaria. Mammillaria elongata. Mammillaria craiggii. Mammillaria schwartzii. Mammillaria pectinifera. Here's Notocactus mammillosas. Here's Mammillaria blossfeldiana. Here's Mammillaria wrightii.
Okay.
Some of my favorite cacti are the Astrophytum. This is the Astrophytum asterius, also known as the sea urchin cactus. And you can see it grows flat and round, and it's got little white specks on it. Those little white specks are not caused by bugs or disease, but that's part of the plant. The little white specks are called flocking. And the Astrophytum is unique. As far as I know, it's the only cactus that grows flocking. But you can see that a lot of the Astrophytum species have the white flocking. This is Astrophytum ornatum. Here's an unusual Astrophytum. This is Astrophytum myriostigma quadrocostatum. And this is a plant that has 4 ribs instead of the normal 5 ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very unusual, very rare. Down here we've got a few more astrophytum. This is Astrophytum myriostigma variety Strongyligonium. And there are about 17 plants in here, and I think I'm probably going to repot these in the next couple of weeks because they're kind of crowded, and I think they need a little bit of elbow room before we get into the winter dormant period. And last but not least, we've got Astrophytum ornatum variety Mirabelli. Beautiful plant. You can see the white flocking. It's got nice strong spines. Very healthy seedlings. Well, that concludes the tour of the greenhouse. As you can see, it's been a good year for the cacti.